3, 2, 1, go.
Guitar Stories Podcast, your number one show for everything guitar.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Dan.
Hey, Andy. It's good to see you. Good to be back. Episode 81 of the Guitar Stories Podcast.
81,
Fantastic.
the best year of the 20th century, I might add. 81.
I'm not sure. It could also be 83, isn't it?
Nah, definitely not. Oh, well, yeah, you're right. Elka might say that is the best year.
See?
Yeah, thanks.
It's two.
You're
It's two
dressed as
against
Batman
one.
tonight. You're
I
Batman?
am. Yeah, I am Batman.
Okay, I'm just nerdy, grey, cheap T-shirt guy.
Nobody has ever actually seen Batman and me in the same room. If this isn't scientific
That's
proof
true.
enough, then I might have to ask our guest what scientific proof is instead.
Yeah, well, speaking of scientific proof, we have a wonderful scientific proofing sort of guest tonight.
Yeah, that's
I
correct.
mean, I'm picking up what you're putting down, Dan. We're on such a smooth wavelength, so there are segues and stuff like that.
Thank you.
Mr. Colin Scott will be joining us in a little bit, and we've already spoken to him backstage, and he is all raring to go with a bottle of cider. So
Mhm.
anything could happen, Dan. I had a
Yeah.
little shot of grappa earlier, and I'm already falling over my words.
It seems like I'm the only one with just water, but you know what happens at the Guitar Stories Podcast stays at the Guitar Stories Podcast. So
I hope
We'll
not.
see.
I hope
see how it
everybody
goes.
hears and sees it.
okay.
Right, let's say hello to the
that's
people
all right.
who are live chatting. If you're listening on the audio version, then hello, audio version people. Please don't operate heavy machinery whilst listening to this podcast, etc., etc. If you're live, then hello, April. Hello, Leon. Hello, Valeria. Hello, Pauline France. Pauline from last week. Hello, Pauline. I hope you're as smiley and jolly as you were last week. It was an absolute joy to talk with you. Sarang, hello. David K, Thomas, and Cranar, hey. You almost said David K's name twice then. I'll say it twice. Hello, David K. Studio Camille, we're in season 4. Don't forget, Mikhail. And
Good
bring
one.
those monies.
Nice reminder. Roll
Amanda's
on.
here. Hi, Amanda. And anybody else? Josh is here. Melodify. Loads of people.
Yeah.
Bear,
Hello.
can you
Hot
pronounce
Black.
this name, Dan? What would you say that name is pronounced as? Bear Miller? I get
I
the
don't
feeling
know.
that's a Colin Scott fan.
B.
I don't know.
B. Arthur Miller. Bia. Maybe. Bia
Arthur
Arthur
Miller.
Miller. Yeah. B. Arthur Miller.
It's right. Hello, B. Arthur Miller. That I totally screwed that up.
Yeah.
Gary and Anna and
Anna. Who's Hot Black Desiato? Hello from Scotland.
Black
Hello
Desiato.
back from Germany.
Loads of people. So yeah, we'll give you more
That's
shout outs later. We'll even give you the opportunity to throw a question at Colin, who I always refer to as Colin Scott. I don't know why. I have a hard time calling Colin.
Oh, you go with
Maybe
the full
we
name?
can get to the bottom
Okay.
of that. Yeah, I'll get to the
Yeah,
bottom
maybe-
of it later on, I hope.
Okay, cool. How's your week, buddy?
It was good. I had a gig last week on Thursday night, and
saw
yeah, it was
Did
good
you-
fun. And did I what?
Play the guitar or just a cajon?
I played the guitar.
I don't know. I
and
saw you
also-
sitting somewhere, so I thought you might also be like some sort of part-time percussionist.
Well, I'm sat on the cajon and I have a kick pedal and I stomp the heck out of it. So
Ah,
yeah, I
there
do
you
that.
go. Sweet. I didn't know.
Also play the harmonica as well in some songs, you know, because everybody needs a bit of harmonica.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was a good one. How about your week, sir?
Also, a good week. I released that tiny little video that got a lot of attention. That
Oh yeah, let's talk
TOD10
about
video.
you and your social media extravaganza, quitting your job at Meinl and becoming an influencer.
No, not at all. Yeah, that kind of went through the roof. I don't know why. It's more like 100K views already and a lot of interest in the guitar. And yeah, let me just put it that way. It's selling pretty well, and I'm very happy with how it does. And I think Tim will enjoy a lot of people playing the guitar all around the globe. And I still can't put it down. It's actually right there, so it's it doesn't get away too far away from me, like 10 meters max. Yeah.
Good. Well, I think you should buy it. But yeah, Mikhail, thank you for the super chat. He wants to know, where are the shirts?
Shit.
Dan, where are the shirts?
In my drawer, actually.
You've started the ball rolling. You're the only one that hasn't had a little tipple tonight.
Shoot. No, actually, I was asking Andy last week if we should bring the shirts, and then I accidentally forgot mine, and he didn't bring his. So, what about next week?
Yes. Well, it's up to you, mate. As long as you take yours to work, I've got mine here. I'm at home. So I'm ready to
Okay.
roll everything.
Cool. Okay, next week.
To Adam Steele from Hot Pole Studios. Hello, matey. Right,
Hey,
I want to
buddy.
bring in our guest, Dan. But before
Yeah.
we do, if for some reason people have no idea who this man is, surely he should deserve some kind of wonderful complimentary introduction.
Oh yeah, but very brief one. So in episode 81, we were welcomed by Colin Scott, a Scottish guitarist and gear tinkerer with a master's degree. Attention, everyone, in physics. And he actually brought the Quilt to YouTube and made that a thing. Colin describes himself as an educational content creator using actual science to explain gear. And as this is kind of rare breed in our world that is so full of storytelling and mojo and tone wood and everything, Colin brings actually facts to the table. And he doesn't shy away from demystifying common assumptions and thoughts. And he's also, I don't know if you did know that, he's a kick-ass pickup maker. So maybe we can talk about that later. And the icing on the cake is that he's a lovely chap to chat with. And I'm very pleased to have him on the show and kind of ask all the questions that we already piled up for him. Joe, welcome him to the show.
Yes, please
All right.
welcome to the show, Mr. Colin Scott.
Hello there. Hello. That was a really nice introduction. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Did we get it somewhere near factual and correct and scientific?
That sounds just a bit correct to me. I probably would have said it worse about myself, frankly. So thank you. Yes, it seems quite accurate.
Great.
Colin, thank you for joining us. We seem to have spent a fair amount of time, you and I, together this year. In
Yeah,
fact,
it's been
more
good.
than I've spent with many other people. We had Guitar Summit, we had Gear Streets, and now we've got Guitar Stories. All things that begin with G and
With
S.
G.
It really confuses me. But GS. 3 things that begin with GS. We're going to start off for the first time ever, Colin. You're our guinea pig with a
good.
quick fire round of questions.
Right.
We've never done it, so it could go well, it could go horrendously. But what I will do is guarantee that Colin Scott will be phenomenal in answering these questions. It's going to go question from me, question from Dan, question from me, question, that sort of thing.
Ping
Okay?
pong it. It's Wimbledon. Okay, sure.
Yeah, so we're going to go from this side and then that one. Yeah. Would you like a little bit of ambient music to add to the pressure?
Oh yes, absolutely. Make it like a game.
Here we go. There's a little ambient music bed. Oh, wonderful. Look at that. Okay, Colin, your first question was and is, what was your first guitar?
My first guitar was a Squire Bullet Special. It's bright orange with black pickguard, black hardware, and a single humbucker in the bridge position. I modified the hell out of it. HSS, got a kill switch on it, played it a lot of shows, upgraded the tuners and the bridge. Everything that could be upgraded was upgraded. Excellent guitar. I've still got it. It's hiding away in a cupboard somewhere. I should get it back out for a video sometime.
Okay,
Thank you.
my turn. Colin,
Yes.
your first guitar was a Strat, but if you had to pick one desert island guitar, Les Paul or Strat style?
Okay. It probably would be a Strat style, but maybe an unconventional style Strat. Maybe not something with your 3 single coil pickups. Maybe something a bit more rocky. But yeah, I think I'm still a Strat boy.
Okay.
Nice. Getting a feeling for what Colin Scott is made of now. Colin, many people, when they begin to play guitar, say that they're inspired by a certain artist or artists to pick up the instrument. What was the artist that inspired you to play guitar, if there was one?
A friend of mine at school, Chris Menzies, he would be the major inspiration because I saw him playing guitar and thought, damn, he's cool. And I want to be like him. So that's not the big rock star name, but it was who inspired me initially.
Follow-up question, what is Chris doing now?
I have no idea.
Chris, if you listen to that episode, or if you watch that, actually, leave your story in the comments.
We've not really kept in touch after school. It's been a long time since I was at school. But I hope he's doing well. I hope he's doing okay.
Sweet.
Aw.
All right. My turn. Colin,
Yes.
you also build your own pickups. What do you prefer to build? Single coils or humbuckers, and why?
The cheeky answer would be to say single coils because they're easier. There's less work involved in a single coil. I just recently put together a couple of P90s for my SG and covered them with nickel covers on them to get that Black Sabbath sort of look, that Tony Iommi
right.
look. And yeah, I think P90s are probably that sweet spot of they're nice. They're a nice build, but they're not two coils having to stick them together like a humbucker is. They're probably the balance.
All right.
Okay, final question from me, Colin. Amp distortion or pedal distortion?
Amp distortion. I've got a lot of high gain amplifiers, and I use them majority all the time. But I do quite often put boosts and screamer style overdrives in front. So I'm using a bit of both, but mostly the amp distortion.
All right. And last question. When you're studying either physics or gear, what's your preferred drink of choice? Coffee or tea or whiskey?
Oh, it's definitely whiskey. of those options, it is most certainly whiskey. I do love a Lafroig.
Oh, okay.
Colin, that is my favourite whiskey. The 10 years one.
Yeah.
It's just, I can even get it here in Austria. Well, I will gently let the ambient music fade out. And that is, in a nutshell, Mr. Colin Scott. Thank you, mate. Thank you for being our guinea pig. Would you just quickly sort of explain how you feel about that section? Is it something you'd recommend we do with future guests, or should we just bin it?
I think so. I think someone more interesting than myself could even give better answers than I did. So yeah, I think you should keep going with that. It was a little bit of pressure. It was a little bit of spontaneity, and I quite enjoyed having to think on my feet. Yeah, I think it was a good section. I'm sure the viewers enjoyed it.
Sweet.
Good. Well, we'll find out. Viewers, let us know as you're watching and listening. Let us know if you like that. And we've got some love for the Lafroig, and also we've got a super chat which I'm going to read out. So there we go, from Andrew Morgan. Great name, Andrew. Super chat, $7.99 Australian dollars, which I have no idea what that is in other currencies, but he says he'll have a shirt too. Michiel, where is your video? Exactly, Michiel. Where is the base content that we all need? No pressure. Thank you, Andrew. That's very kind of you. Right, it is time to pick some gear, gentlemen. Now, it's a bit dry for gear at the moment, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little dry, like we used to be literally drowning in gear, and now I feel that we're sort of paddling. You know, there's a little spot left in the pool, and we're dipping our toes in.
You're pedaling 24/7, Andy. Fuzz, overdrive.
That is true. More fuzz. Right. Okay. So, what we do a thing called Pick of the Week, Colin. I know that you've picked something, but I will ask you the question: would you like to hear my pick of the week first, or Dan's pick? Guest's choice.
I think Dan seemed
All right.
quite keen.
Oh, okay.
Dance, pick up the week. Dance, pick up the week.
You cut it off.
I didn't cut nothing off. It's
No.
just a randomly selected button. Dan, what's your pick of the week, mate?
My pick for the week is an amp. It is the PRS HDRX 20, and we've been talking about whiskey, and that amp kind of follows the tradition of distilling stuff, as it distills the power of the HDRX 150 into a smaller housing with 20 watts of power. And like the previous kind of amps, they've got the approval of Hendrix. So on the back of the amp, it actually says like authentic Hendrix stuff. And I think that's supposed to mimic, the original 20 watt Plexi style amp that Hendrix played at Woodstock. So it's a pretty famous amp. It's probably not like the best tone in the world. I think a lot of people will agree, but it's definitely one of the most iconic tones. And yeah, there's also a what's it? 1x12 cabinet with a 12-inch Celestion V-type speaker. And yeah, I just thought, there's a lot of competition for that style of amps, but I kind of dig that PRS kind of had the balls to go all in for that kind of Hendrixy tone. So they didn't want to deliver like the convenient catch-all mini amp that can do it all, and instead went for that tone with a little bit left and right. But it's you pretty much buy or can buy what what's on the box or what it says. So. Yeah, I like the tone samples, and I don't know what it clocks in. I think like a 950-ish, so it's quite steep, but still full tube and interesting amp for sure.
I like it. I almost chose it last week as my gear pick, but I wasn't quite pushed over the edge. And of course, then Boss released the DS1W, which I'm still sad and licking my wounds that it didn't win the best gear last week. I think it's amazing. And actually, since I have one, right here.
He has one.
Now I have one. Yeah, and it's I'll let you wait for my review, but it's amazing. There you go. Review done.
And it's your review. 5 second shorts. YouTube shorts.
Done. Buy it. Yeah, so Hendrix amp, I could see myself playing that.
Yep. Yeah, and you got to say PRS really stepped up the game with their amps. It's really interesting to see. They had the Mark Tremonti, the MT15. That was an amazing amp. And now this HDRX. Well, an interesting series. So I'm curious to see what more there is out there. Actually, I didn't tell you about the weekend. I digress, but just as a very small segment. Over the course of the weekend, I spent a couple time with music board members, like the German community. And there was also the company Engel from Germany. And Engel, they also brought a couple amps, like the original Paul Stanley amp that he used on tour, and the original Deep Purple amp plus 4x12 box that he used on tour. And yeah, it kind of really enthused me about tube amps again. And having that big, fat ass tone with a lot of, headroom and yeah. And actually, also interesting, they said that they sold more 4x12s than ever during the pandemic. Isn't that amazing?
Really?
So counterintuitive. Yeah. Completely sold out with 4x12s. Yeah. Yeah. But I digress. So let's move on.
I don't know. What were people doing in the pandemic with the 4x12? Storing things in them?
I don't know. Like, I play metal, and my neighbor loves it too, right?
Yeah. Okay. Let's put our guest right in the middle. A little Colin Scott sandwich. Colin, your pick of the week, sir. I believe you have it with you, right?
I do have my pick of the week with me. I'll grab it right now. I just received this beautiful blue Jazzmaster Harley Benton JA60cc. And I kind of wasn't expecting much from it, to be honest. But after getting out of the box and sitting playing it for a little while, I lost myself for several hours just playing and finding tones and being inspired. And it excited me in a way that a guitar hasn't done for a long time, all from a guitar that I just really wasn't expecting much from. So that's really why it's my pick. And they do it in a lot of nice colors as well. I didn't get to choose the blue, but it's a nice blue. I think I might have gone for the seafoam green if it was me myself. But yeah.
Could you turn it around quickly?
I can turn it around. It's just a big bare blue back on it.
Is that like a roasted kind of neck? It looks so
it's
dark.
A kind of they call it caramelized, but I believe that's just another word for roasted, really. Split post tuners on it, the block inlays, which are really nicely done, and the Jazzmaster style pickups, which are really responsive to the volume and tone controls. You can back them off just a little bit and get much more defined, fine tones out of it, and then crank it back up for a bit of thickness and saturation. It's and all for like under 200 quid. I forget the actual price of it, but it's super cheap. So that's
cool.
Yeah.
Great. Just so you know, Colin broke up for me a little bit there. I don't know if he broke up.
Did I? Was it?
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. But I managed to pick it out, and the enthusiasm on your face was more than enough to tell a story.
Good.
That is the second best Harley Benton style Jazzmaster I've seen this year. The first, of course, being a rather fluffy orangey yellow one built by a certain man in Scotland.
Yes.
We can talk more about that later, but that is a beautiful a beautiful looking guitar that I will absolutely have to try at some point. That's a strong contender for actual pick of the week. Two strong choices. Now, I guess it's my turn, and I should play my jingle. I will.
Andy's pick of the week.
Never gets old. Thanks,
Nope.
Colin. Right. I have a history on the show of pick of the week of choosing things that are either fuzz pedals or really expensive, really super expensive. And
Okay.
Dan, which do you think I've gone for this week? Do you think I've gone super expensive thing or fuzz pedally thing?
I don't think neither of it. I think you picked something. Nah, come on. You went with all in. You went super expensive. Come on.
Correct. You know me well. I have gone for something I found on reverb.com that seems to be announced in various guitar forums and places like that. I found it on, I think it was the Gear thing, whatever it's called now, Gear News or Gear Pages, the one they changed the name of. It is this. There we go. Oh, it's there. Courtney Love's Fender Venus from the 1990s, coming in at a cool 59,999 euros with shipping of 55 euros to Austria. So just tipping it over the 60 grand mark. What's interesting, to me at least, is that it's sold by a guitar shop called Guitar Smith.
Okay.
And he used to be in my hometown, and I visited him when I went back home a few years ago, and he wouldn't sell me the Fender Jagstang that was in his shop because he decided that he just didn't want to sell it. And I realized, I think that's why guitar shops exist, is to sell guitars rather than not let people buy them. So, yeah, I didn't get to buy it. But I'll just show it in its case if you're watching the video version.
Wow, that's
It
pretty.
is the actual Fender custom shop made version, so it's not the same as the Squire. It's got no volume knob on it because Courtney Love would often fiddle with her volume knob, and it's got one pickup right near the neck. And it's a very strange guitar, and I've loved the Squire version for ages, and I would love to pick one up. And I almost got one on guitar auctions once, but I didn't quite bid high enough. That's my pick of the week, 60 grand. It's in Hamburg in Germany.
Oh, wow.
How far is that
okay.
from you, Dan?
Hamburg? Oh, wow, that's 5 hours? Yeah.
So you're only a short car journey and 60 grand short of a Fender Venus.
I don't know. It doesn't really resonate with me. Firstly, it reminds me a lot of the parts caster that Colin did a while ago, like that seafoam bluish kind of thingy. And yeah, I know. What's the shop's name, by the way?
Guitar Smith.
Guitar Smith. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Smiths. Sorry, hang on.
Smiths.
Hang on.
Smiths. Smiths.
I'll put their website in Guitar Smiths, but it's guitar-smith.com. If
Okay,
you
and
if you want to spend your super chat money on a guitar.
And is that like a commission sell, and the guitar is actually based in Hamburg?
Yeah, as far as I can see, it's in his shop.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you are cheating a little bit because isn't that a product that has come out this week, Andy?
I think you can go jump. I think you can take your Hendrix amp and leave.
And stuff it up. By the way, I think this guitar would actually be very well placed at a certain website in the UK.
I agree. We should probably talk about those guys in a little bit because they are. We have some sponsors this week, and that's one of our sponsors. Just a little teaser there, Colin. Little teaser to our first sponsor.
Tease the sponsors. People love a sponsor.
People love a cheater. No, hang on. No, people don't like a cheater. That's right.
Oh, guys. The alcohol.
It's not. I'm reading the chat, and Valeria just called me a cheater.
Okay. No.
Started something
no.
now, Dan.
Yeah, I'm very sorry. I take that back. You're not
Okay.
a cheater.
I'm not. I am absolutely not. Right. It is time to play a little game, Colin, we call Buy, Borrow, or burn? I borrow or burn?
Okay.
There are 3 gear picks this week, as there is most weeks, and you have to choose. A bit like that game we played at school, where you married someone and you decided to end someone's life, and the other one.
Yeah.
Imagine that you were forced to make a decision where you have to buy one of these pieces of gear, you have to borrow one, and you have to burn one.
And
We've
just
got
like that
the PRS. Sorry.
Just like that other game, there's always a correct answer. So I need to get that answer correct.
There is a correct answer, but we spiced it up a little bit by one of us guessing what we think you would do.
Ooh,
To add another level of confusion and unnecessary complication.
Yep.
And while we're doing that, the people in the live chat can also put their picks up and see who wins, So someone's going to get... I'll admit, Colin, brace yourself, because if your gear pick gets burned, it does hurt a little bit. It does kind of, play on you for a week.
Okay. All right.
Right. So...
I started with the pick, so do you want to start guessing for Colin?
Yeah, I'm going to guess for Colin, and then Colin's going to guess for Dan, and Dan's going to guess for me.
Yes.
We've got the Courtney Love Venus. We've got the HDRX PRS amp, and we've got the Harley Benton JA60. Which one would Colin buy? I think Colin would buy the Harley Benton JA60. I think he'd borrow the amp and he'd burn the Venus. How did
That's
I do,
an
Colin?
expensive bonfire.
Certainly is. So what do I think Dan would do?
No. First you got to say if he was right.
I forgot
or
to say
not.
mine.
Yeah.
Oh,
Otherwise
right,
it gets way
okay,
too complicated.
I understand, right? Okay, yeah.
Complicated.
Okay. So you want to know what my answer would have been?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, as I say, I think there's a correct answer, and in my head, this is correct. I would burn the Hendrix amp purely because that's on theme for Hendrix. Setting fire to the equipment, so that makes sense. I would have to borrow the very expensive guitar because I simply don't have the money to purchase it, and I would buy the Harley Benton because that's not the color I want, and I would like one of the other colors. So I have the money to buy, so I would purchase that. I think that's what I would do in that situation.
I applaud that scientific, logical reasoning.
Yes.
Yeah. Very nice. It's like an equation. You solve the equation in your head. Yeah.
Okay. Then, Colin, would you please guess for Dr. Dan?
Dr. Dan. Right. You seem pretty keen. You seem pretty keen on that amp. And I think you might buy it. Which leaves us with what we would do with the other two.
Science.
Yeah, let's say you burn the Harley Benton.
Okay.
Because, it's cheap firewood. And then borrow the nice expensive one, which doesn't really do anything for you.
Let's just make sure that we put that into perspective. It's cheap firewood considering the current circumstances in the world. It's not a guitar necessarily made of cheap firewood. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got all sorts of problems that we're facing. We want to make sure that we can afford to heat ourselves this winter.
Okay. That is pretty correct.
Well, okay then.
Congratulations, Colin. Well done. Well, that's a uneventful reveal.
Okay, now I guess for Andy. Andy would buy the fuzz pedal. Oh no, wait. Okay, no. Andy would buy the Harley Benton because he would borrow. He would borrow.
Do you know how this game works, Dan?
Yeah, I know, but because it's kind of it works together. It's like effect and cause and effect. You would borrow the Harley Benton. No, you would buy the Harley Benton. You would drive up to Hamburg, and borrow that super expensive guitar and then give it back, because otherwise you would have to sell your organs, your kits, or all of your other guitars, and then your wall would look pretty empty. And you would probably burn that Hendrix amp because you have enough amps and you probably don't necessarily are looking for the tone. How is that?
Nope.
Okay.
You got one right.
Well, okay, fair. Well, this is an easy statistic, so I made like one mistake, which leads to 2 wrong results. It's 1 out of 3. Okay.
Let's let Colin do the science.
Wait,
I'll do the
no,
jokes,
no.
and you do the medicine.
No, he wouldn't. You wouldn't burn your pick of the week. That's just logical, right? Because otherwise it would be.
All right, I think you're forgetting a vital fact. This game, we hypothetically have the money to buy everything.
Oh.
Yeah, but could you justify that? I mean, in a relation to having like, how much is that Boss pedal? 250. So how many pedals could you buy?
Well, the Boss is 150.
150. So that's
It's irrelevant.
a lot of.
It's irrelevant. That's so last week, Dan. It's not
All
even...
right. All right, you buy the guitar, you borrow that damn Harley Benton, and you burn the amp.
Yes, but tell me why. Can I tell you why?
Yeah, please, go ahead.
All right, I would buy the Fender Venus because I've always wanted one, and the thought of playing a Courtney Love guitar on my channel would upset so many people that makes me really laugh. I would borrow the Harley Benton because, I've got at least 2 friends now that have a Harley Benton JA60.
Okay.
And then I'd burn the PRS amp because you chose it.
Wow. That was...
Burned! Yeah. Damn.
That was low.
It was.
Low-hanging fruit. Indeed.
It's just the way I'm set. Yeah, I just wanted to be mean.
All right.
But yeah, it's... The reason is I'd actually quite like to try the PRS, but... yeah, but they don't know I exist. So,
ooh, it's personal.
Yeah. Oh no, it's political.
Okay. All right.
Right. I'm just going to look at the chat, and then we have to find out the winner and the loser and the person in the middle. And as long as I'm not the person in the middle, I don't mind. I don't mind losing. Or winning.
Okay.
Firstly, Josh says, Colin, I'll buy you another color of the JA60 if you send him the blue one.
Sounds like a good deal.
Offers on the table. On the table. Fergie in France. Welcome back, Fergie in France. He missed the show last week. He'd buy the PRS, borrow the Harley Benton, and burn the Fender after he's insured it. Clever.
Smart one.
Clever, Fergie.
Clever.
And where are my pinned messages? There they are. Valeria would buy the Harley Benton because science. Borrow the PRS and make the most expensive bonfire with that Fender because she'd like to keep all her organs. Thank you, sticky tongue out smiley face.
That's the spirit, yeah.
JJ Sandy would buy the JA60, borrow the amp, and burn the 60k guitar.
Wow.
Darn it. And I didn't.
Not looking good.
Has anyone else got a little post they'd like to say? I'm just scrolling up. Or can anyone else, Colin, Dan, read what's on the screen if you can see the chat?
There's a good one that says, Gary O'Neill says, buy the guitar, borrow the amp, and burn everything to do with Courtney Love.
People are really not fond of the Courtney. I mean,
not at all.
That's never lessened over time.
I'm a big fan of the album that she may have used that guitar on.
Mm-hmm.
I can take her or leave her. I'm just being polite in case she wants to be a guest at any point on the show. Then, leaving that door slightly ajar.
The door is never closed, Andy. It's never closed.
The door is never closed, Daniel. One more then. We've got Studio Camille. Always an interesting answer from Mikhail. Buy the Harley Benton, borrow the PRS, burn all the haggis because of humanity. I don't even know that was on the table, but it was, and it's now burned.
Oh, that's a shame.
I quite enjoy haggis.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I had a haggis baked potato twice.
Ooh.
It's really good. Ben Nevis, loved it. Had one, went up.
Haggis in the potato.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Had one, went up Ben Nevis, came down, had another one.
That's so good. You had to climb and come back down again. Great.
Yeah. And then I'll have one more. I'm not old on vintage, so I'm just looking for someone that's going to buy the Venus. Buy the amp, borrow the Venus, burn the Harley Benton because I can afford to replace the Harley Benton. Good reasoning. Good reasoning.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
Well,
it doesn't look
think-
good, Andy. It doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good. I think I've lost, and I think Colin has won with the best gear pick, and Dan goes in the middle. Is that fair to say, gents?
Yep.
That seems reasonable.
Yep.
Well, congratulations, Colin.
Thank you.
Congrats.
I've lost us
Strong
2 weeks in a row now.
There.
I don't feel good. I do not feel good. But I stand by my choice. Colin, would you mind if Dan and I spoke a little bit about one of our sponsors this week, and we leave you to pop off and have a little drinky poo, maybe?
Oh, I'd love that actually. Yeah, that'd be good.
All right. Well, we'll see you in a moment. Thank you.
Okay.
Dan, hi.
Hey.
Dan from the Guitar Stories podcast. Hello, welcome.
Hello, Andy.
Dan, we've got a sponsor this week who you mentioned might take that wonderful, beautiful Fender Venus and put it up for something we might call an auction.
Oh, are you talking about guitar auctions?
I am talking about guitar auctions. Guitar auctions are Gardner Holgate, and we are sponsored by them this week. Not just sponsored, but proudly sponsored, I have to say, because that's what they didn't tell me to say. They don't just have guitars in their auctions, though, Dan. They have all kinds of related items.
Oh, wow, that's cool. So you mean like pedals, but also memorabilia?
Yeah, audio equipment, pedals, amps, basically anything guitar.
Cool. But, dude, I assume they only have super crazy expensive stuff like the 60K guitar, right?
No. They have some expensive stuff. They have some really famous guitars that have been on auction before, but they also have like weird sort of Japanese copies like Taisco stuff and things that come in regularly at about £100.
Sweet. So the only hook is that it's based in the UK and it's pretty messy to kind of go there and pick up the guitar, right?
It is based in the UK, in Bath, which is near where I'm from, but the cool thing is everything is online. And not only can you watch Luke and his colleagues do the live stream, you can also bid live and then pay with your credit card from the comfort of your own home.
Say no more. How many guitars did you buy that way?
I've currently bought 3, and as you know, I'm working on my 4th.
Okay, so we should probably keep our eyes peeled for December 7th and 8th when there will be the next guitar auction. Is that right?
Yes, I shall be pretending to work and play guitars whilst I'm actually watching Luke do the little hammer thing and sell guitars at, I would say, reasonable prices. But the most exciting thing is when they got something like a Squier Venus that you can't really get anywhere else.
That's interesting. Where do you have to go to check out all the offerings they have?
You go to guitar-auctions.co.uk to register to bid. You can do that right now, and you can also check out their Instagram, Guitar Auctions at Gardner Holgate, to see all the cool stuff they've got lined up for the auctions in December, and I recommend that you do.
Sweet. That was unscripted, and that was pretty cool, right?
I enjoyed that ad read.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna be happy with that. I'll take this thing off, and we'll bring Colin back in and see what he thought. He can sort of analyze our ad read.
Yeah.
Hi, Colin.
Hello again. What a wonderful
Hi.
ad read, actually. That was really good.
Thanks.
If that was all off there, well done, guys.
Yeah, that was
Do you
completely
feel
unscripted.
Do you feel it's necessary now to go to guitar-auctions.co.uk and
It's
register?
interested me. It's interested me. I'd like to see what they've got there. I'd like to see what's coming in and going out, and maybe I put out a little panel. Maybe I watch the man do his little hammer, like you said.
It's fun.
Yeah, maybe
It's really fun.
do that. Yeah.
I once watched it from the beach in Italy. I should have been on holiday, but I was too interested. I got in trouble for looking at my phone. Anyway, let's talk Colin Scott.
Ooh.
And what better person to do that than Colin Scott?
Yeah, that
So-
would make sense. Yeah.
It would. It would.
Science. Again, science.
The science of loud. Where did that come from, Colin?
Where did it come from? The name itself, I think I probably pulled from a comment from a viewer at one point, because it wasn't. I've been going under the guise of CSGuitars for a long time and been forcing myself into that science. I think someone just typed in one day, "Oh, the science of loud." And I thought, yeah, that's actually good. I might just steal that for myself.
That is good.
So it may have come from a comment, but no one else was using it, and I think it's very fitting for what I'm doing.
Absolutely agree. I have to say that I'm not only, let's say, friend or at least associate. I'm also a fan. Absolutely a fan of what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have you here because you do what I like to call quality content.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that. Yeah, quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, everything you do, I learn stuff from you, man, and it's also it's entertaining, it's exciting, it's factual. It's also, I learn stuff, and you have cool little like the spectrometer or something that you use.
my
When you did
oscilloscope.
That's the
on
one.
the pedals.
The
Yeah,
oscilloscope.
absolutely. No, you've hit the nail on the head there. I want to make sure that every video I do, regardless of what it is, whether it's a pure science thing or whether it's a gear review, there's always something to learn. There's always some new information that people can take away and realize something about the way to use equipment that they've not realized before. And as you say, quality. Try to push the quality level of the videos, because I think in the guitar sphere, we're all got really good production value. Compared to a lot of other places on YouTube, we've got really good production value. And I just want to keep pushing that up with, like you say, the oscilloscope, with the animated graphics, with, everything I'm doing to try and make sure that complicated scientific descriptions can be very easily visualized and understood by people who don't perhaps have a scientific background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's one of the key parts that I like from your demonstrations, presentations. Did you kind of, there's a TV show called the Show with the Mouse in Germany, where they actually explain very complicated things in a way that even young kids can understand that. And that's kind of what the vibe that I get from your channel. Did you kind of try to make it accessible to everyone? Basically, you don't have to have a degree or anything. It's just if you're into the topic, if you're into the guitar world, and you just want to get some in-depth information, you kind of take those large chunks of information and kind of narrow them down into easy to digest bits and pieces. And this is really what I love about the channel. It's not fleshy. It's like it has meat.
There's a lot of really good information out there on forums and in books and on websites, but a lot of it is written where you have to have a physics degree to be able to understand it. And most people don't, but I do. And I like to be that middleman of just taking that information that's there, it's available, but it's not accessible to most people. There's a barrier to entry, and trying to, almost translate it down to words and images and, concepts that anybody can understand, regardless of where they are with their background and their knowledge base.
Yeah.
But you do it without being patronizing or condescending.
I mean, I could if you wanted me to. I could certainly I could certainly make you feel like an idiot. But no, I want to make sure that nobody feels that they're stupid for not knowing things, because not knowing stuff isn't a sign of stupidity. There's a lot of things that I don't know, a lot of fields, lots of different topics that I don't know anything about. That doesn't mean I'm a stupid person. It just means I've never spent the time researching and looking into that and building that experience. And people who can come into guitar, they're coming into guitar from all sorts of other fields. Like I came to guitar from physics, but other people are coming from music, they're coming from art, they're coming from other things. So it's not, you can't expect people to know how a valve works or what the circuit's like inside a pedal. So you've got to be able to approach it in a way that's, you're not stupid for not knowing this. This is just knowledge that we have to build up and work through, and everyone should know it.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I take what I've learned from your channel and I try to utilize it on my channel. And what was that thing Colin said that was really intelligent? Screw it. Press the fuzz button all down. There we go. Hey!
Nothing wrong with the fuzz button.
Nothing wrong with the fuzz button. I should not have had that shot of grappa. Fuzz button. What kind of thing is that? Hi, Colin. Lemmy's approach was everything louder than everything else. What is the loudest you've ever played? A question from Hot Black Desiato.
Oh, that was actually very recently over at Guitar Summit. Chris Jupiter of Jupiter Effects had his 250 watt Titan amplifier. and we decided that we'd take it down to the loud amp room down in the basement of Summit and just push it through a couple of 412s and see how loud we could get it. So that's possibly the loudest I've ever heard anything being played. And I remember as well, a number of years ago, I think it was GitCon, we had a 100-watt Marshall amp with everything dimed to 10 and played through that as well. So I've had the experience to stand in front of 412 cabinets and have the trousers absolutely flapping. So yeah,
Yeah.
Like too loud, more loud than anyone should have to ever be.
Fantastic. So, Colin, since your mind is pretty much set in a very like structured way, a very like physician way, does that have an influence on the way you play the guitar?
That's something that I've never really thought about. Is am I having a logical approach to guitar? I suppose I do. I'm looking at frets and numbers, and I'm not really a musician. It's really I've made this living playing guitar, but I'm not a musician. I'm a scientist. So I guess there's a barrier there. But
I want that T-shirt, Colin. Sorry.
Was it?
I'm not a musician. I'm a scientist. That's a
Scientist. That's a good T-shirt. Yeah. But I don't really know how to answer that question. I've never really thought about I'm approaching music from a more logical standpoint. Perhaps I am. That's something to consider and ponder and analyze, I think.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back in my corner and think about that now.
Go back in your ivory tower. But like if you pick up the guitar, do you immediately like think in intervals and in shapes, or can you just like play a couple chords and just take it from there?
I'm good to play some open chords and some power chords, and then I can pretend to play a solo. No, I'm not really doing a scientific approach to like music theory or anything like that. It is one of the things I struggle most with is like when I sit down to record any guitar for a video, is just like, what do I play? I don't know. It's not there. I know what the guitar is, and I can think about it in terms of its pickups and in terms of getting a tone. Absolutely, I can be like, I'll look at a guitar, look at the pickups, look at the amp. I know exactly what I need to do to dial in a particular sound, but actually playing the thing, not at all.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm having a little breakdown here because we've got some bots in the chat trying to get people to buy certain physical activities.
Oh, fun time.
I tried to click ban user and I accidentally put it on the screen. So it might be there for a couple of frames. Apologies if you're looking for a partner though, then there might be one, a few clicks away.
Sexy time with Andy.
Oh, wow. Colin, I know we're doing all this physics and science and guitar stuff, and your channel is the science of loud. But when I was writing the video description for this episode, I looked on the About page of your YouTube channel, and it said the channel was open in 2006. But yet CSGuitars says that it started in 2011. Yes. So I went right back to your first video.
The first public video. There's a lot of them that are not there any longer. They're hidden in private.
Then the first public video is called Transformers Ultimate Showdown.
Yeah,
and it is phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
explain it.
All right, because I was a big fan of Ray Harryhausen. Like I grew up, my dad would show me like Clash of the Titans and Sinbad and all those old movies with the stop motion creatures, and absolutely fascinating. I love all that stop motion stuff. And for a little while, I mean, that must have been about 2006, 2007 or something like that, that when I did put that together. I just wanted to try and do some stop motion stuff. And we had a bunch of Transformers we'd had as kids. And it was a case of, all right, they've got enough articulation that you can sort of pose them and do little increments and take a picture, pose them, picture, pose, and made a stop motion battle between all the Transformers, and then put laser beams and explosions, and Buzz Lightyear shows up in it. And it's just good fun, silly stuff. And I wish I'd done more of it. I really enjoyed doing that stop motion thing. And it's a lot easier now. Technology's a lot better than the tiny little digital camera I had. There's probably programs for your phone you can see frame on frame now, but yeah, I should get back to doing a stop motion sometime.
Dude, it's got 30,000 views.
That's why I left it there.
That's admirable.
Yeah.
It really bumped the numbers in the early day, you know.
It sure did. It's good. It's really good. I watched the whole thing in its entirety. I won't give away the ending of who appears because I think it says something like "watch to the end" or something like this. And then I followed you on a little Colin Scott journey, and I tried to find at which point I became a viewer of your channel, and it was actually pretty early on. It turns out you're one of the first people I watched. And yeah, I remember watching you do amp stuff, and basically, as we talked about the quality of your channel and your videos and stuff, there was a time where YouTube was not as polished as it is now, and it was more homegrown and certainly still great, but certainly you'd say it has certainly dated now. But there's some great content right from the start, and yeah, I really enjoyed going on a little CSGuitars journey.
No, that's good that you've done that. Going back that far. Yeah, no, I mean,
lost an afternoon.
I started doing the guitar-related content in 2011, but the channel's been open since almost as soon as YouTube was available for putting up filming little videos with friends and sharing them with each other. Did all that because I never expected to turn YouTube into a career, because at that point in time that wasn't really feasible. There was nobody really making a career off of YouTube. There was no such thing. So I just kept using the same channel I had and put up some guitar videos because I thought someone might watch. But I just got to I just got what did I get? My brain just shut down there. No, I just got carried away with getting content and it growing up, and I just like, oh shit, it's too late now for me to change the name or change the channel, and I didn't have a plan, so I was like, oh, I guess I'm stuck with this. I'm stuck with the old channel that I had, and I've had to try and make it into something that wasn't stop motion Transformers and any of the silly stuff I was doing at the start.
Like next time you do a pedal review or demo or explanation or whatever you want to call it, may I request some stop animation, please?
Yeah, okay, I could look into that.
No pressure, but I think the internet is crying out for it. Sarang, our own Sarang here, has said he needs some stop motion Colin Scott in his life. So there's at least 2 people that want it.
I could build myself a little armature and a little monster and animate him to press the pedals.
That's a good idea.
Yes.
Okay, cogs are turning. I might end up doing this eventually at some point.
Yes, I love it. There's a thing I'd love to talk to you about, if you don't mind, about when you went from the job that you were doing before you went full time on YouTube to becoming a full time YouTuber. I remember it's about the time we met. We met the first time in 2018 at TGU. Yeah, and I remember you having some real worries about going full time and leaving that job. and then all sorts of emotional things and numbers flying all over the place, and I firstly want to say I'm so glad that you did it, and I'm so glad that it's working out for you.
Thank you.
But could you talk to us a little bit about that change from being a regular job person to what you are now?
Absolutely. It probably wasn't as big a leap as what other people have to make, because it wasn't a huge paying job to start with. What I had, I was an electronics technician for a hydraulics company. I was wiring up cables and soldering, changing components on their circuit boards, going into their test rigs and pulling out pressure sensors from hydraulic thing, getting covered in hydraulic fluid. So it was an interesting job, but it wasn't like a hugely paying job. Right. But what really made me flip into, I should maybe look at YouTube instead as a full-time career, was when I realized that I was having to turn down a lot of like paid work on the YouTube side to go to my 9 to 5. Right. And it was like, I'm turning down so much money, and so many people want to promote product through the channel and whatnot. And I'm going, no, I can't do that because I don't have the time, because I can only work weekends and evenings. I don't have the time. I've got to go to my job. And I'm like, well, maybe if I just didn't go to the job, I could take all these payment offers and then build on that, and surely that would be better. And long story short, yeah, it is. It's not massively better, but it's considerably, it's still better than what I was doing when I was doing the full time. So yeah, YouTube's been okay to me so far. Thanks for everyone watching and subscribing and doing that. You're the ones doing it and making me money. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, a natural. We have a it's not so much a question, but a statement super chat from Adam Steele of Hop Hole Studios, who says, "But Colin,
Wilma amp break.
thank you."
I forget which video that's from, but yeah, Wilma amp break. I've had a few little minor catchphrases over the years. Wilma amp break and all the gain, no mids, Slayer, which pops up all the time, all over the place still.
They're in the chat right now, and I can't keep up with them. So yeah. Is there any video that you've made that is the one that you think that's some of your best work, or if I say what's your best work, what comes to mind?
I think I've got the creator problem of as soon as I've made anything, I hate it instantly.
Okay.
I think that wasn't
I'm so
good
glad
enough.
you said that.
Move on to the next one. So yeah, it's difficult because I'll usually be very proud of a project when it's first completed. It's like, oh yes, this is an amazing, and you put it out there, and then inevitably nobody watches it, and then you move on to the next thing, and then you learn to hate it afterwards. But if I was to try and put my mind back to things that I'm quite proud of, I'm quite happy with how the Guitarton video came together, which people might remember was part of the Great Guitar Build-Off, Crimson Guitars. And I took one of their kit guitars and made it into a multi-scale flying V with tartan and a kilt pin, and I made it part of my Highland outfit, and was the most Scottish guitar ever built. I'm quite happy with not only the way that guitar came out, but the narrative of that video, and pulled people through, and it captured people's imagination enough that they voted that guitar as the winner of the YouTuber side of the competition, and by an absolute landslide of votes. And I think it purely came down to just the fact that the video was really compelling, and it was an underdog story, and there was this theming and narrative through the whole thing, and it was a beautiful piece at the end of the day. So yeah, there
Wonderful. It is. Yep, that was an eye catcher right from the start.
Wonderful.
I mean, yeah,
Absolutely beautiful.
I'm sure if this was a production model, that people would buy that in an instant.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think it had enough charm to make it something people would want to play, which I feel was maybe what other people in the competition lacked, was like all fantastic builds, very complicated engineering in a lot of them, but none of them made me go, I want to play that.
Yeah,
And I think that's what really cinched it at the end as well. It's like that one you'd want to play.
yeah.
Right. Yeah,
But it has to come with a bottle of whiskey. It has to come
Yeah,
with a bottle
yeah.
of whiskey.
One of my original ideas was it would have like a big hole in it where you could stick a bottle of whiskey, or stick or the way they do those the little whiskey glasses, little tasting glasses, and a little thing, just like you can just set them on the guitar and have it as your tasting rack.
What's playing? That's cool.
So yeah, maybe I should have done that.
Yeah. Well, at least
You didn't stop
have
there though with your build stuff.
I didn't. What?
Sorry, Dan.
No, go ahead.
At least have a what? I want to know what you at least have.
At least want to have a compartment in the actual case for a bottle of whiskey. So you can put the guitar in there and the strap, and then a bottle of whiskey, and maybe a couple shot glasses.
That would be classy. A custom-made case with a whiskey drawer.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Oh, yeah, whiskey
Okay.
drawer.
Yes, I'm not going to have a signature guitar. I'm just going to have a signature case, and that's with a
Wait,
whiskey.
but the guitar could be made out of whiskey barrel wood,
Yeah.
and it comes with the whiskey that was in those barrels as a limited edition.
Now you're talking.
That's
Now
like
you've
a
got
marvel.
ideas.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there would be some sort of luthier out there that would be game for that.
Oh yeah, certainly. Once I get a shop, I'll start making something.
Okay, if I may,
There's
ask one
another
question?
build you did.
Oh.
Oh, come on.
No, your turn. Come on, take it away. The other build. Come on.
There's another build you did, which I hate to say that you and I were in competition, but I also entered the build with just an element of fun. But you absolutely nailed the Harley Benton build off of the JA Jazzmaster build off by making a honey monster Jazzmaster.
Yes.
And I absolutely promise you that I considered the same thing and thought it would be too much work, so didn't do it.
But wasn't yours that you're gluing two bodies together to make a double thick body? Was that not yours?
Yeah, I had no idea, so I just thought I would do whatever came to mind, and the thought of gluing two bodies together came to mind.
Because that sounds like
So I
lots
did it.
more work to me.
Yeah, it turned out that you were absolutely right with that statement. It was a hell of a lot of work, and then I sprayed it green and used it as a green screen guitar, which those two things are not connected. You do not need to have a double body guitar. It didn't.
It didn't make it any more useful for the green screen. That's all.
I just had to use more paint.
More expensive, heavier, a lot of work.
Yeah, but that's a little insight into the science of my channel. Just do it. Get it done.
I love these competitions, these guitar build competitions, because you get to see what you and me and all the other guys are doing, and everyone comes up with such a weird idea, just completely off the wall. It's like, who would have thought to do that? Apart from obviously all of us, but it's like you can never anticipate what the next person's going to do, and it's I do love seeing what everybody comes up with when we do those things. But that Jazz Master with the fur. Because the funny thing is, I had the opposite thought from you. I was like, what is the easiest thing I can possibly do? Because I don't have enough time to like do something proper. And I was like, oh, cover it in fur, because that's the least amount of effort I need to make. And it you know, at first I glued it on and forgot to sand the body first, so the glue didn't take. It just peeled itself back off, which was a problem. It just so I had to go and sand it all, take all the glue off, sand it all to get a bit of tooth in the wood, and then the fabric glue held the fur on. And then it was try to trim the sides and get it all to meet up, and I'm getting glue in the hair, the long hair, and it's getting all messed up. And yeah, so there was a bit of complication to it, but I think it turned out quite well. I think it certainly is a visual piece. It looks interesting. It hung on the back wall for a little while in later videos, so people could still see it. I'm considering putting it up for sale though. So if somebody does want to grab a little bit of history there and have a furry guitar for them to get all their sweat and beer poured onto, then yeah, maybe I'll announce an eBay sale of that at some time.
Maybe that sounds like a great idea.
Billy Gibbons will grab it. I don't know.
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah. He'd be right into it.
Yeah, he would.
Sweet. If I may take the opportunity to kind of focus on your scientific approach, how do you basically structure a video? Do you take the scientific route and kind of write some sort of expose and then do some sort of rough structure of it and then fill it with content? Or how what's your approach? If there is such a thing like a general approach for a video?
Yeah. There is very much a general approach. A lot of the times, an idea is sparked by a piece of gear. If someone comes to me with a piece of gear, we've got this new product coming out and it's got, X feature. And you go, ooh, that feature has to do with this concept. And I was like, I could build a video around the concept of that feature of this product. And that's a way to marry, not just doing a normal gear demo or gear review, but actually give some scientific worth to the concept and explain what are quite often technical equipment. I mean, gear is getting more complicated. There's a lot more science and complicated stuff in the back end of amps nowadays with built-in attenuators and IRs and all that sort of stuff and DSP stuff. So I usually get the gear, get an idea, and then I start researching. I'll go down a research rabbit hole, starting with the Wikipedia, and then going to more reliable sources after that, after I got the general gist. And it's just a case of taking notes and reading stuff. And that process usually sends you right down the rabbit hole of you realize something you didn't realize before. It's like, I've got to find out about that. And then you start writing it all down and realize you've got like 6 pages of script now. And it's like, this is way too much. And it went too far away from the gear. Pull it back. Edit the script down and try to find some sort of through narrative through it all that can keep people's interest and attention through all the complicated things. Then start to storyboard, because when I'm writing the scripts, I'm thinking, okay, what's on screen? What's the visual? What's the graphic? So I'm storyboarding at the same time, drawing out my animation cells. Okay. And by the time I'm actually putting a camera on and sitting down, I have got everything well planned out and well visualized ahead of time, and it's just a case of reciting a script and try to keep it in my head.
That sounds like a hell of work, really. So
yeah, it is. It's an awful. That's why there's not the content on the channel doesn't come out very frequently. There's an awful lot of work involved, and then once it's obviously filmed, you got the edit, and then you got all the graphics. And I'm doing all the graphics myself, all the animations myself. So any images that I need, I'm going into Illustrator and creating them there. I'm then pulling them into After Effects and getting them moving around and jiggling and doing whatever they need to do. So yeah, there's a hell of a lot of work, but it's the problem is it's all in the head, and to get it out there, I need to do it. I can't tell someone else how to do it because I need to show them. So I just have to do it myself. But I've tried doing it the other way of just sitting down at a camera and talking, and it's a disaster. Like, it's an absolute disaster. And it turns out I'm just much better at having it all planned out and all structured and ready to go. Do my thinking beforehand, and then it's just acting at that point.
Okay, yeah. So just like one remark, kids, I really love that Colin made a point and said, okay, you can check out Wikipedia, but Wikipedia is not the primary source. Okay, it's not.
Wikipedia is great for a general overview, especially if you already know something about the subject. You can go in there and get refreshed on it all, and it's like, oh, good. And it has sources. Any good Wikipedia page has its sources. You go to the bottom, you follow the sources, and then you go look. And once you've got your idea and you've got your concepts, you go and look for other stuff. The stuff that I can look for on Wikipedia, the science stuff, can only be written by people who know what they're talking about, and they would get really pissy if someone came in and messed it around. So they're always on top of the physics stuff. But just be wary with Wikipedia and make sure it's cited, and make sure you're checking more reliable sources afterwards.
Wise words. And talking about primary sources, if you're a gear tinkerer, it's usually great to have a primary source for all the tools that you need when you're, building and rebuilding your guitars.
Wow, Dan.
Thank you.
Wow.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. Yep.
Wow. I am in absolute awe of the way you've managed to segue into our sponsor for this part of the show. It is mind-boggling. It was so seamless that I've ruined it by saying these very words. But yes, the place that you might want to go to is StewMac, which this episode is brought to you by StewMac in part. And the thing that I want to talk to you, and maybe Colin's seen it, is this little thing that I've actually bought quite a while ago. This thing is like a spanner. My camera won't autofocus, so it's called. Let me just bring it. A truss rod crank for a telly.
Oh wow!
So rather than show you the tool, I'll show you the job it does. I've got
clever.
A custom shop telly here, but it doesn't need to be a custom shop. It needs to be a telly or a Strat that has a truss rod adjustment at the heel, and rather than having to take the neck all the way off to adjust the truss rod and get a proper screwdriver in there, this thing has two different angles of flat blades, which you can just fit underneath there and adjust the truss rod without having to take the neck all the way off. You might need to take the scratch plate off, but that is my favorite piece of tool from StewMac this week. So it's there. It's coming in at $12.49 if you're in the US, and it's absolutely wonderful. It's changed my telly experience. So that's what you do. There's a better close-up. They've taken the scratch plate off. I've just cut a little hole in my expensive guitar, so I don't have to take the scratch plate off. But yeah, absolutely worth I think I paid $10 for it, if I'm honest. The times have changed.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely recommend StewMac. They've got some great stuff. I've got a video coming up soon on a DIY pedal build. They've sent me a kit, and I'm going to build it, and hopefully it works, and then I'm going to play it.
Cool. That sounds like a cool video.
Yeah, so that is StewMac. I'm sure one of our moderators will put some links in the chat, and if you're listening to the audio version, there'll be links in the description of the podcast.
Great comment. Josh Tenberg said, "Oh man, Offender could just get with the times." Well, if you have an old custom shop guitar, it's supposed to, be built like back in the 50s. It's just a thing, right? And it's pretty smart.
I agree.
I gotta say, it's pretty smart.
All right, let's have a real geeky question. Best truss rod adjustment method. Go. Is it the heel? Is it the bullet? Is it the headstock? Is it the spoke wheel?
it's. I mean, from a technical perspective, I think it's probably the spoke wheel. That's probably the best method to do it. Although I don't mind just sticking an Allen key down the top, the top of the neck, and turn it from the headstock end. Like that works and it's fine. And that's sort of the most. That seems like the most logical place to have it. But I think the spoke wheel is probably technically the best.
Most advanced, maybe.
Yeah, it's certainly nicest when you see it on a guitar. Like, ooh, that's nice.
Is there any piece of gear that kind of enthused you from a technological standpoint or a scientific standpoint, where you say, "Wow, this is something that's super cool because it stands out"? So from the plethora of kind of vintage ideas.
You've put me on the spot. My mind's racking because I'm like, I know I've come across exactly that and had those exact thoughts, and I can't place the piece of gear at the minute that I've had those thoughts about. But yeah, a lot of newer equipment does come out with stuff that just goes, oh, you've done it differently from how we've been doing it since forever. And those are the kind of products that excite me now. I have trouble with like doing guitar related stuff when the guitar is just the same guitar it's always been. It's another piece of wood and it's got strings. It's like, yeah, it's a good guitar, but there's nothing exciting to say about it. But when you come out with something like perhaps the GTRS guitars with the Moore preamp built into them, so that you can just like plug a set of headphones in and crank it up, and there's nothing really new there putting a digital processor into a guitar, but it's just the way it's packaged makes sense. Or when another piece of gear that I looked at recently was the Black Star, the St. James amp, and then the little pedals they have where they've got the digitally modeled cabinet simulation stuff in it that's reacting in real time and sounding like microphones and cabinets. It's like a different way to do. It's a more reactive way than doing IRs, and it's just nice to see that sort of technology being implemented in that way. Anything really at the moment where digital is being used to support an analog system and make an analog system more usable, as opposed to replacing the analog with digital, I think is stuff that's really exciting me.
Cool. And from a technological standpoint, what is the most advanced guitar? I'm not talking about like putting an amp into a guitar, something like that, but like in terms of the shapes or just the function. What's the most like functional, the sleekest? Is there such a thing where you say, oh wow, it's probably not my cup of tea, but from a designing standpoint, that's really something that I admire because I'm in science. Do you know when it comes to ergonomics, when it comes to improving the physical instruments to make them play better, doing the multi-scale or fan fret stuff works really well because it puts the frets into a more natural position to the way the hand falls when you play. Your hand splays out in a particular pattern that straight frets don't actually help with. So fan fret stuff works. All the ergonomic guitars, the headless stuff, the stuff with the sort of weird curved shapes so that they fit into your body more as you sit with them and you can play. All of that stuff works really, really well. Not necessarily my style because I'm quite into the sort of the vintage looks of instruments, but I really appreciate where things are getting pushed down that line with headless, with fan fret, with just changing the concepts of we don't have to do it the way we used to. We can do it and using different materials, using carbon fibers and using composite materials to try and carefully craft the density of the materials to get a particular resonance or a particular sustain from the instrument, all that sort of stuff, as opposed to just going, oh, it's mahogany and maple again. Yeah.
Blasphemy. I've just thought of a really awful idea that I predict will be released in the next 10 years. Like, you know how people try and reinvent it? Like, we have those, you can remove pickups from guitars and switch them with the cream tea, the reddish guitars. Yes. That's not it. Okay, that's an existing thing that I think has a function and I think works well. I haven't tested it fully, but I like the idea. But what I'm saying there is there's something that existed that was quite revolutionary, didn't exist before. I've come up with something revolutionary that is absolute crap.
most revolutionary things are. Let's go for it.
I predict that someone will release it in the next 10 years, and you and I will get an email about it.
Okay.
A fully motorized, self-adjusting truss rod.
Wow.
Awful, isn't it?
That is awful. That's like your Gibson robot tuners.
Yeah, there we go. Robot truss rod.
in a much worse place. Or I mean, the approach that companies have been going is putting carbon fiber reinforcement within the necks, or making sure the necks just don't move at all, which seems to be which would be the the Occam's razor. It's the easier solution. It's like the easiest solution is always the right one. But yeah, you could completely over-engineer it. Put a set of, like it's like tension wires and little motors that pull it and flex it.
And there'll be an app
on
for your
sensors
phone.
of the strings or something. Yeah,
there'll be a laser.
And it's not
what I'm saying
Bluetoothing
is
to the app. Yeah, sure.
I'm predicting the future here, Colin. Someone is going to send us an email about that within the next 10 years.
Yeah,
and
the Evertune neck I see in the comments there.
The Evertune neck, yes.
Yeah. So that sounds exactly what it is. Yeah.
Sorry, I should really write to an investor about that and get a Kickstarter sorted.
It sounds more like Chipson content to me, but anyways.
No, because it's too on the nose for Chipson. Chipson is so ridiculously fantastic.
Yeah.
This is just over-engineered rubbish.
Yeah, you're right. But actually, Tronical, the RoboTuners, they work pretty well. I have them on one of my guitars. I was digging it when I was playing with it, because you could go with a guitar from drop D to E standard in no time. It's just one knob and then tap, you can go.
Yeah.
Or various tunings, open G kind of tuning, stuff like that. That worked pretty well. It's just,
I think if it was released at a different point in time, it probably would have done a lot better than it did.
Yeah.
I think that was just hit the wrong audience at the wrong time, and it got a lot more hate than it deserved.
Yeah, and it was mandatory on every single guitar they released for that year, right? Like almost every Les Paul and his G, they had that stinky little thingy on the headstock.
2015?
I know. Maybe,
my friend has one, and he swears by it. But it's a thing you have to learn. You don't just press the button. You have to press it in a certain way and hit the strings in a certain way that I can't do, but he can do it flawlessly.
So it's got to be romanced first. You can't just
Got to take it out for a little drink.
Yeah.
Give it a little
It's not going
cuddle.
to put out for just anything,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. In case they want to sponsor us at any point. Yeah, Tronical. Thanks. No, definitely not doing that again. That pandering to sponsors. Who would do such a thing?
No one.
You can also scratch your face with this StewMac truss rod wrench thing. Colin, what can we expect from the future of CS Guitars? What do you hope to take the channel into in the next X amount of time?
That is a very good question. I've sort of lost sight of a lot of things. I achieved a lot of goals, I think is what it was. Not so much that I lost sight of my future, but I achieved a lot of the long-term goals that I had, and then never replaced them with even further long-term goals. So I sort of got to a point where I'd done everything I wanted to do, and I was like lost for a while. So I think I need to take a little bit of a time to soul search and work out where I want to go and what kind of content I want to create. So that I'm still keeping it relevant for everybody who wants to watch, because it's a fast changing landscape as the social media landscape, and us old fogies on the YouTube are getting probably a bit scared at the TikToks and the shorts and all that sort of content the young peoples are into. Oh no, the young people. So yeah, it's how do I approach all that, and how do I stay relevant in a world that's going more and more in those sort of directions, and I haven't quite figured it out yet. But what I can say is it's going to be more science content, more well-presented, quality stuff that we've talked about before. The oscilloscope's going to get more use. You're going to get the animations. I'm going to be digging into circuits, because that's what I love doing. And I'm not going to make any content that I don't enjoy. That's really what it's going to be. It's going to be more of the same, but in what format? I'm not sure.
That's a great answer. I think you nailed it with not making content that you don't enjoy. That's a luxury, isn't it? And one that I certainly enjoy. I can't say that I always follow that rule. There are sometimes I make content. I don't say I don't enjoy it, but there's sometimes I enjoy more than others, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I like the challenge of something that's out of my wheelhouse.
There's times when I'm coming up against something that's as you say, like a challenge where it's like it's not something you would normally do, but it's challenging and you get excitement from that. But it never feels good when it's purely obligational, making content, or on the other side of that is just chasing a trend, doing something you don't want to do just because you think that's what will do well. That's what the algorithm wants. That's what I'm going to do, and then not enjoy making that. I'd rather sit in my niche. I'd rather die on my niche than live, or whatever the phrase is. But I'll die in this niche. Thank you very much.
I think that is the phrase. Yeah, I've started releasing shorts on YouTube. Firstly, kicking and screaming, didn't want to do it, hated the idea, and then really enjoyed doing it. I completely turned around on it. I've started releasing stuff, and I think it's because what I hate the idea is of adding more crap to the mixture. Just putting it out there, as you said, because that's what the algorithm wants. But I actually think that I managed to take some highlights and then actually create something that I thought was beneficiary to the viewers and new viewers, and that really, really surprised me. So, are you doing shorts at the moment?
Not at the moment. I've had thoughts of what to do, what kind of content might work in a short format, doing perhaps 1 minute explanations of science concepts. But the problem there is that you often need a lot longer than that to drive the point home. And a couple of times I've tried it, people have come away going, I didn't understand what you're talking about. It was too much too fast, and it was gone before they got a proper explanation. So perhaps that's not the approach I need to take, but I'm still working it out.
I look forward to you doing that, and not that I'm requesting it or indeed pressuring you, but I think that if there's someone that could do it, I think you'd do a great job of delivering facts that are actually correct.
I have seen some other sort of science, Hank Green and all that kind of thing, doing the little science explanations on TikTok and on Shorts, and those seem to work very well. So I can maybe take a few cues from the likes of them and do that.
With Hank Green, I like the fact that he there's a theme, and he almost connects his videos, so he doesn't quite finish his concept sometimes, and then just makes another one. And I watch it.
That's content.
and I enjoy it. Yeah. I consume it. Josh Tamberg is suggesting that you make stop motion shorts. Take 24 hours to make 1 minute short in stop motion.
Yeah, wow. What I do already is so time consuming. Is it really any different? I suppose, yeah. But that could be a fun concept.
Who knows? Well, Colin, I think it's time that we thank you for joining us on the show and analyzing our segments and being very, very, very friendly and very funny and humorous and jolly as well. Thank you, Mac.
I try my best. I like to present my best self for you boys.
Thank you very much.
Good. Dan, before we let Colin go, would you please ask people to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and the like?
Nope.
Okay. We quit that.
You know what? Because we received the last rating on iTunes 1 year ago. I just checked that. Come on, what's wrong with you guys out there? Yeah, it's like we've got 66 years at the moment. Could you guys kindly pick up your phone, go on iTunes, and leave a rating right now? Just do it
and
for
say that you really enjoyed the episode with Colin Scott.
With Colin,
that's all I want to know.
Of course, yeah.
Colin Scott episode was the best. Done.
Yeah.
I'm writing it for you.
Or did you ever? No. I don't know.
No, you've got to finish that question.
No, did you ever leave a 5-star rating for a podcast?
Yes.
Really? It's a thing, if you kind of want to enthuse people and want to make them give a review, and then you all of a sudden kind of figure out, damn, I haven't given a single podcast a 5-star rating. That probably sucks. I don't know. It's just it's like with the likes and views you get on.
I also click like on my own videos. So
of course you do.
It's one more like, and I do like it. I do enjoy it.
You made it, right? You better like it.
I made it. Until the next day, as Colin said, when you think it's absolute shite. So, yeah.
So, guys, 5-star rating, and
Yes.
make sure to subscribe to Colin's channel because it's the greatest scientific content out there. Make sure to check out StewMac Guitar Auctions, and yeah, apart from that, it was a pleasure. I think we have a new segment on the show. It's In a Nutshell with Dan and Andy, or Andy and Dan with Dandy, and yeah,
That's me in a nutshell.
yeah.
Right. Yes. CS Guitar. Go and subscribe and in fact unsubscribe from my channel and subscribe to Colin's channel. That's how confident I am that you'll have a better life.
I want to see that short.
I'll make that short. All right. I promise you I will make that short, and we'll see. We'll compare analytics.
See what happens.
See what happens.
Oh no.
All right.
All right. Guys.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for watching, listening, and having fun playing guitar. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Guitar Stories Podcast, your